One of the harshest things that many of us will have to deal with over the course of our lives and that we will have to handle is self-judgment. How harshly we judge ourselves, we judge our actions, we judge our beliefs, we judge our feelings on the basis of who we think we are, on the basis of what other people might be saying that we are, and on the basis that what we are doing, even if we still do it, can be wrong and makes us look bad. The thing is, everyone's doing it. It's not necessarily a new problem that we face. Understanding that everyone is doing it is actually the first step we get to solving this swamp of self-judgment that inhabits our lives. Personally, actually, story time. We're starting off that way. This past weekend, I went out with my friends, as I do pretty frequently. I try to limit myself only to going out once per weekend. I didn't really go out too much to begin with. I waited until I got an actual ID. No fakes were for me. And I went out to a bar with my friends. It was a very special night at one of these bars nearby. It was emo night. We had a band who played emo, pop punk, punk rock songs. They had 2 sets throughout the night. I have a big part of my music taste, which is pretty vast in and of itself. A strong appreciation, a strong cornerstone from that kind of music. From punk rock, from pop punk, from emo, if you want to call it that. And I knew most of the songs by heart because I've listened to them so many times. It became natural to me. So I went with my friends. I actually had missed the last time that they had this night, so I didn't want to miss it this time. And one thing you also might know about me for this story, I'm not necessarily the most glamorous dancer by any means. I dance better when no one's watching, and the thing is, a lot of us dance better when no one's watching. A lot of us do things so much better when no one is watching, because we can feel pressure. We can feel this added pressure on top of the pressure we already put on ourselves. So the first set comes around. I tried to tell the drummer, who was wearing a Knicks jersey, Knicks in 5. He didn't hear me because he was locked in, obviously, on his set. Also, one of the lights was blinding him, so he could barely see anyone to begin with. You saw me, though. We were right next to them on a table, or at a table. And I danced. And because it was a pretty, I wouldn't say cramped setup, but we were all standing in place, I kind of moved along to the beat, nodded my head. The way I like to put it, I felt like, in a way, I was looking like a zombie. But I danced. Eventually talked to the drummer after. I tried to say Knicks in 5 to him then. I didn't do it. But he was like, hey man, I saw you doing your thing. I saw you were dancing out. You're having fun. And that's kind of stuck with me. Someone saying that has stuck with me. Yes, maybe it's because I need to give myself more compliments in life, and I need to maybe think of myself in a better light. And that's also where a lot of self-judgment comes from. But it hit me that in my head, I might have felt like one of the most uncomfortable people in the building. With how I was dancing, with how I was allowing my body to flow with these songs. Yet that wasn't what other people saw. That wasn't what one of the members of the band saw. He saw that I was enjoying myself and having a good time. And think of it in general now, from a self-judgment standpoint. A lot of people, myself included at one point or another, hold back on what we can do. And I'd say a lot of this comes from a bit of a fear that we aren't going to be good off the rip at whatever it is we're trying to do, whether it be dancing. I know line dancing has its core of people. I've gone to line dancing nights. I've tried to learn a live dance. I, in my opinion, failed miserably. But I got through the dance and then didn't do anything. Maybe that's honestly the next step for me. Maybe I learn how to line dance. If you want to, let me know. If you want me to, rather, please let me know. But the thing is, we hold ourselves back a lot. Not just from dancing, but from so many choices, so many opportunities, because we judge ourselves, because we are scared of what other people might think. We're scared of being told no, and that this idea that we had in our heads was stupid, and that we wasted time even thinking about whether or not this should be good for us. A lot of people deal with that issue. I'd say it starts at some point, maybe from your upbringing, or it fosters over time. Your environment can be, in many ways, the reasoning and the pure position, and in the pure position, that makes you this way. But a lot of it, I feel, comes from us being really harsh on ourselves. And I've dealt with this, and I deal with this as much as the next person. You know, dancing, for an example. I kind of learned that I don't need to, and maybe I feel like at some points I do need to, but I don't when I'm out with friends do everything necessarily that I need to do. And especially when I'm at a club dancing with my friends, in my head, we're in a cramped space to begin with. Speaking back to environments. If you're in a cramped space and you want to dance, you can't necessarily bust out all the moves that you want to bust out if you're in a very cramped space. But I get by. I've actually had times, and it's really funny to think back on, because I'd say it's more, and it is something that's an issue to me that other people don't think about. And you'll find this as a key motif. A lot of people don't care what you're doing. A lot of people don't care about what you're dancing and how you're dancing. I found at times where I've been doing my thing and I felt to be in a good mood, and I've seen other people look at me. I've seen friends look at me, and my first instinct is to stop doing what I'm doing. Because in a way, how my body treats it, and I'm sure this is how a lot of people have felt at times, not just with dancing, but in maybe asking a question or whatnot. We are protecting ourselves, and by protecting, I say this in a bad light. We are protecting ourselves from the true act of looking like a failure, of looking a little silly, of sounding a little dumb, of not being as on point as we need to be. We hold ourselves off from doing everything that we want to do. There are times where I'm hitting dance moves by myself in the kitchen and I'm killing it. Do I bring all of those dance moves out with me when I go to the club? No. I know I have a wedding in a few months. Will I bring out all those dance moves? Maybe. I don't know. I have to think about it. But self-judgment holds us back from expressing ourselves to our fullest extent. And the thing is, as I think back to that night, not only to that brief conversation, but there were people that I was watching dance before this band, and I saw some of them in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, they're really going for it. They're really doing what works for them. They're really doing some crazy stuff. And while in the moment I might have thought that, and then kind of gandered and went back to myself, as time has gone on, it's hit me that in a way that's the microcosm of this whole thing. We can be scared to do exactly what we want to do, but then we see people who are going for it, and that can kind of scare us from seeing what they're going and what they're doing. But the thing is, the people who are going for it are who we should aspire to be. As unorthodox as their processes might be, as their dance moves might be, those people who are going for it are living in the moment, and they are doing and feeling and expressing themselves exactly how they feel like they should be doing. A caveat with this self-judgment, and I'd say it's a fair amount with how culture has changed and has become, and I've read about this phenomenon a lot, seen it come across my feeds online. Another thing about self-judgment is we're scared. And this is how self-judgment is. You're scared to do this because of some form of possibility. I mentioned the people who might look at you a little strange, who might look at you a little silly, who might, as for some example, catch you in the act of fully enjoying yourself because they don't see themselves, because they might have gone down this path of self-judgment too far, as worthy of feeling this type of joy that you feel, of feeling that type of fulfillment and embracing that type of fulfillment for themselves. It's a lot easier to watch someone dancing like a fool and to take your phone out and make fun of them for doing it. That's how a lot of videos go viral nowadays. It's people making fun of random other people. The problem with that is how everyone has a phone nowadays, and everyone can do it to everyone else. I feel like that's another reason why a lot of people, and I say my generation more so, because we're in the process of adapting to this and embracing a lot of with technology and a lot of these new processes that are becoming commonplace in my life. Technically, I don't talk about AI. That's a big thing nowadays. People using AI in college to write their papers, to cheat. At least when I was in school, I graduated right before that rise started. I typed all of my papers, and I barely actually had papers because of my classes and for my major. So I didn't have to deal with that as much as, let's say, others. But I remember a few years ago, I watched one of my friends who was taking a summer course as I was working out in the Midwest, and he had his quiz, and he was plugging the whole thing into ChatGPT. It was a multiple choice quiz for the week. And in my head, I'm like, what are you doing? Really? This is what it's come to? Minor tangent. I'm sorry. But this self-judgment that a lot of us have for ourselves, whether it appears, I wouldn't say it appears overnight, it's built up over time, regardless of the environment that we're in, the people that we've experienced life with and have put us into that position. It's really a priority that we need to drain. I mentioned at the top that self-judgment can be a swamp in and of itself because it can fill up over time. It can become all muddy and nasty and have sarcasm. If you know what sarcasm is, please tell me. Please let me know in the comments, because that's a shout for those who know. It can turn real nasty for us if we let it pile up and if we let it control how we live life. It can push us and hold us back from doing as many great things as we can. In the process, with it holding us back, it only brings regret down the road. It's a problem that we need to look at ourselves for. We might need to look at external help for. But it's a priority that we stop that self-judgment, that self-doubt. It's beneficial for our future because once it's gone, and I don't think it will ever completely go away, but once a lot of it has been pushed past, as we push past it, we learn to live fully. And at the end of the day, everyone's dealing with this at one point or another. So who cares if people make fun of you for trying something new? Who cares if you are trying to emulate someone and you fall flat on your face? More often than not, those people who will make fun of you will not even step anywhere near where you are in your shoes. They're too scared. We shouldn't be too scared of them, and we shouldn't be too scared of ourselves. Those barriers need to be breaking down. Once they fall down, life is a vast open field, and you can run along any path. That's the best way to live.
Bonus content.
Emo night. I would do it again. I thought that, and actually I didn't really dress up to the fullest extent. I had a Bucky's band tee, khakis, Converses. That was the closest setup for me. I loved it. If you like that music and you find one nearby, go to it. And if you haven't, dance a little bit today. Yes, it can be by yourself. You're the only one who might need to know. But have fun today. And if you find yourself judging yourself and who you are, try to nip that as soon as you can. Bye now.